Hey, ladies and gentlemen, it's Christy. We're back with another Talk It Out Tuesday for Mentally Kills. This week's topic is escapism. Kind of excited to get into this one because it's not something that a lot of people talk about, but I didn't want to talk about it alone, of course. So I brought in a friend. He is the host of the Den podcast and also a violence prevention coordinator. I know it sounds fancy, right? And a mental health counselor. So let's welcome Isaac. How you doing today?
What's up, CA? How are you?
Good, good. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate it.
Look, I'm excited to be on the show today. I've been looking forward to it all week.
Me too, actually. I'm really excited about this one. Mostly because daydreaming is like my favorite pastime. Except for me, mine is like disassociating. So it's a hit or miss. Like, am I staring into space or am I actually in space? Real questions, you know?
Exactly, exactly. Daydreaming. I get lost when I daydream. Like I use daydreaming as a reason to really sometimes to escape,
That's right.
to ex- to escape the day to day process of life, the life stresses, job, work, any personal problems that I may have. So daydreaming for me gives me an opportunity, whether it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or 15 minutes, to escape life's reality.
Beautifully said. And that's our topic for today is escapism. So let's hop into it. Like you said, escapism can be a great tool and coping mechanism when it comes to especially people with anxiety and PTSD or depression. We kind of need a break from what's going on here. So we do whatever we want to. So let's give them some forms other than daydreaming of,
Okay.
you know, um, escapism. And then I'll go into more detail on what exactly it is.
I mean, social media is a way that individuals escape. Talking on the phone is a way that individuals escape. Long periods of watching television, that's a
That's
big
right.
one. Many people they they binge 8, 9, 10 hours watching TVs and movies.
Absolutely.
Um, um, and sometimes just being with yourself and to yourself too long and letting your mind wander and meditating is another big, big way that individuals escape from dealing with the day-to-day life stresses and issues that we face on a daily basis.
That's right. That's right. So another one I also had was reading, because that was me to a T as a child. I would read all day and night, and I would rush
Really?
through my classwork to be able to read right after. So,
Wow.
we also, what else? We have people going to the gym. Yes, it can be a great coping mechanism, and a lot of people with PTSD use it. But at the same time, it also can be excessive, and that's where it becomes too much. So,
you know I like the gym piece because you really never look at individuals that's going to the gym. You never look at it as they're using it as a way to escape or the way of coping and getting away from life stresses.
that's right. So, I agree with that. See, my issue with that is number one, every time I've done an interview with somebody who let's say had PTSD or something else, they would say I went to the gym or I took boxing or I took some kind of martial arts and that really helped them kind of cope and handle their symptoms and their issues.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
beautiful thing. Because there is somebody tuning in, I just want to make you guys aware. StreamYard is having an issue with Facebook comments, so I can't see it if you're commenting. But thank you so much for tuning in. And if you have any questions, we'll dial back right after and check it out. Um, but just wanted to throw that in really quick. So the actual definition of escapism, and let me take this reading down. I left it up there a little longer because it's my favorite. But it's to engage in activities that have no meaning or relevance when there would have been much more important and preemptory things to do. So let's say, for example, in my case, the dishes. I will do anything to avoid doing those dishes. But guess what? No matter what I do, those dishes will still be there until I do them. So
You talk about washing dishes. A great way to isolate, a
yeah, well,
great way to
usually
escape.
so I used to love doing the dishes because I'd put music on and I'd sit and I hand wash everything. I don't have a dishwasher. I'm not,
Right.
like I have one, it just doesn't work. And I use it as a drying rack, honestly. I always have. 3 years almost I've lived here and I have literally used it as a drying rack. I've never used it once. I know it doesn't work, but I also never tried to fix it because I'd rather hand wash my dishes. It was like therapy for me for a while, but now it's just like, ugh, you know?
Exactly that. Now it was a time where I didn't like washing dishes neither. So now it's like, I'll take that 5 or 6 minutes or however long it takes to wash those dishes to kind of process some things and kind of remove myself from a situation or just give myself a chance to unwind at that moment. So washing dishes is a great way to escape. And a lot of times we don't even think about it at that level. Like, oh, I'm gonna go in here and wash the dishes. But that time washing dishes can do a lot for your mental health.
That's right. That's very true. So, the only issue that I have with escapism, because like I said, escapism can be a very healthy coping mechanism if it's done properly. The issue is modern society, we're not doing it properly. We're spending 5, 6 hours on TikTok scrolling. We're spending hours just swapping through the same three social media apps. It's kind of
Exactly.
like when you go into the fridge and you know damn well ain't nothing in that fridge, but you keep going in that fridge, right? Because you're hoping if you open the fridge,
You're gonna see something different.
gonna be there's miraculously gonna be something else in the fridge. There's nothing in the fridge. You know, it's the same thing with the social media apps. We swap through, Instagram and TikTok and Facebook and YouTube and anything else, Tumblr. I'm not going to name them all, but you get the point. Just to
Exactly.
see if there's something new when we know that there's not. And that's to avoid doing something else. So, how do you know if you're using escapism excessively? Well, is there things that you've been putting off for a long duration of time? You have
Or
to
are
ask
they
yourself that question.
or are they things that when you get home you're supposed to do and you just make a decision not to do them?
That's right. Like them dishes or the
Or
laundry. How
or
many of us
project.
how many of us are guilty of what I like to call the laundry chair? Okay? Where we do the laundry is clean, it's done. When does it get put away, people?
It
In
stays in
like
the bag
two
for 3
weeks.
days, 4 days, 5
When it
days.
all gets worn and it's back in the dirty laundry again. And then it gets back in the washer and dryer and it makes its way back to the chair. It's avoidance.
I'm
Escapism.
I'm guilty of that. CA. It's be times I'll do laundry and it'll sit for 2 3 days and I'll just go in there and get some clothing and just iron it and put it out.
Sorry about that. I got
No
booted.
problem. That's Hey, look,
I got a phone call and it
technology
booted
would
me.
do that to you.
Yeah, I got a phone call and it booted me because I'm using my phone today. I'm sorry. But going back into it's a really fine line between using escapism as a coping mechanism and using it as a way to just say,
Yes.
you know what? I'm not dealing with life right now. So
CA, it's
social
a
media
fine
can be
line
used.
there.
It is. It is a very fine line. But scrolling through social media for hours a day can have a very, very negative effect on mental health. Do you want to guess why? How do you feel when you're scrolling through Facebook or Instagram for a long period of time?
I'm exhausted. I become mentally exhausted
Because there's a
because
lot to take
because
in.
what it's a lot to take in, it's a lot to absorb. And the fact that, as humans, we only going to allow people to see what we want them to see.
Absolutely.
And, the false sense of reality, once again, escapism, the false sense of reality, Facebook gives many people a sense of reality. So it allows them to escape. And so when you on Facebook 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hours, or you between apps, like you mentioned earlier, most definitely you're not dealing with anything
That's
emotionally
right.
or mentally.
That's right. And another part of that too is when you're spending 3, 4, 5 hours on Facebook, it's easy to forget that social media is a fantasy, people. It's not real. People can post, I could post myself in an airplane right now. Obviously, I'm not in an airplane. It's all fantasy. And it's so easy to get caught up in hate and jealousy. And, you start feeling self conscious because people are doing better than you. Whereas if you had spent a little less time looking at what they're doing on social media, more time working on
Mhm.
your own goals, you might be in a better position. And if you spend that much time looking at other people's lives through the window, not only is your own house going to disarray behind you, but you're going to feel like crap. Point blank, period. There's no way around it. You're going to feel like crap about yourself.
Yeah, social media is like looking at the glass either half empty or half full many times because it's impressionable.
That's right.
It's very impressionable, and if you're not careful mentally where you are mentally and emotionally, you'll get caught up in it, and you will forget about any logical responsibilities that you may have, and then it'll get to a point where you don't even want to do them anymore. You'll be like, you know what, I'll do it tomorrow. Tomorrow comes, something else happens, and then the next day, now you got a pile of that you got to step in. So escapism is really a fine line between really just understanding what it is, isolation, and just avoidance. So
Yeah.
it's very serious, and a lot of individuals, they don't really look at it as I'm escaping. We use the words like unwinding, or I'm gonna take a minute to myself, or just
Well,
let me relax for a minute.
those are okay though, because like I said, that can be a great coping tool. It's okay to use escapism. It's not okay to be excessive with it. So
But as
it's
you
a
know, we are excessive.
we
So
sure are. We sure
we are,
are.
we
And
are excessive.
unfortunately, one of the most common forms of escapism aside from social media is drugs and alcohol. Yes, that is a form of escapism. I'm a testimonial of it. Okay,
I
because
am.
up until this year, I was on the same journey because I had things that I didn't want to deal with. I was using self suppression, and that is escapism. That's me running away from unpleasant thoughts, self perceptions, and emotions with things that will numb that, so to speak, pain. Okay. Whereas now I'm more on a self expansion style, where I get motivated to gain positive experiences, like do activities and discover more things about myself with that time. I have not turned on my TV in close to 9 months. I haven't
When
watched a
you
TV show, a movie, nothing.
talk about drugs and alcohol, substance use, the number one form of escapism is the substance use.
I would
You
say it's
know,
social media, to be honest, because that's the kind of silent killer there.
I,
Um,
I think they really run a fine line.
that's maybe that's true too.
You know,
The kind of side by side. But
yeah,
for me, I love this concept of, self suppression versus, self expansion. I want everybody to write that down because that is important. Think of what you're doing when you're doing it. You've been on Facebook for an hour. I just noticed this post. I already scrolled this. I already seen this. Or I've reached the bottom of this random page of my ex-boyfriend's third cousin's husband in Hawaii that you don't even know and will never meet just because you've been doom scrolling, you know? Is this self-expansion or is this self-suppression? Am I wasting time here that we're not going to get back because as you know, time is valuable.
time is
It is a
valuable.
gift.
You said
It
something
is a gift.
important. You said something important. Is it a waste of time?
Mhm.
Think about that. Is social media for some of us a waste of time?
It can be. Well, it
Yeah,
always is, honestly, yeah.
yeah, it can
Unless you
be.
use it for business, it's a waste of time. But like I
But
said, that's okay if it's used in a positive way.
exactly. But once again, I'm gonna go back. We extremists. Humans are extremists. When we get our hands on, or we get our feet into something, we go all the way. We go
That's
all the
very
way
true.
with it. Yeah. And it's like, and when we in that life, or that false sense of reality, especially when we're dealing with social media, it's easy to get caught up. Now we tweeting, now we doing this. Now we getting caught up in the situations, like you said, hate and beef that we don't have no business being in. So then it becomes such an addiction that many of us, we really can't get away from it. It becomes part of our everyday life, and social media has become a part of millions and millions of people everyday life.
Every time I get a phone call, my phone
That's
goes
hey,
crazy. Sorry about that.
that's
But
fine. That's okay.
here is how I have kind of researched and figured out how to tell whether or not you're using it as a form of, avoidance, or whether you're using it in a good, safe coping mechanism style of behavior. There's three questions that you can ask yourself when you're doing these behaviors. Okay. And we're going to get into that right now. These are the three questions. So if you learn anything from this today, people, this is the second part you're going to learn. Number one, what is bothering, scaring, or worrying you? Because at the end of the day, when we want a distraction, we want a distraction from something. Okay. That's it. Number two, is what I'm doing helping to solve my problem? Because guess
Mm-hmm.
what? It doesn't matter if you spend 6 hours on TikTok. That problem that you had before you got on TikTok is still there when you leave. When the app shuts down or when your phone dies, it's still there and you still got to deal with it. And number three, what do I want my life to be like? Do I want my life to be a series of me running from my problems? Or do I want to present myself to myself in a way where I handle my issues dead on?
Mm. Whew. Those three are right on point. Like, what do I want my life to be like? Most of the time, we want our life to be like the lives of individuals on social media. That's why it becomes addictive. That's why it
And that's
becomes
when
a
it becomes
level
a
of
problem.
it becomes a problem, and it comes a level of escapism, because we become addictive with other people's lives, false sense of their lives, that we got to follow this person, we got to tweet that person, we got to do this, we got to do that. And through that process, you do lose yourself. You lose yourself,
That's
and
very
you
true.
lose yourself really, really fast. So this has been a great topic, man. Like,
Thank you.
whether
Thank you.
we use it in a positive or a negative manner. I think we all suffer from just a little of it. It's just, how extreme are you? How extreme are you at using these tools to really not deal with the everyday life stresses and the everyday realities that you have to deal with?
That's very true. So sorry, my son just walked in the door from Cub Scouts.
That's cool.
um, so while I love social media for its invaluable source of entertainment, because that's what it is, it's entertainment. When you spend hours in it, in this fantasy world to avoid your problems, look at celebrities. How many celebrities do we follow on our pages? A lot, probably more than we follow real people, because we want to know what they're doing. Why? Why do we care so much what they're doing? It's the same thing. We get caught up in this fantasy world as a
Yeah,
distraction because we forget, you know, that our problems are still going to be there.
you know, celebrities really are a great tool to really measure, because what we see on the outside and what's on the back end of that, many times when we hear it, it's at its worst end. And many of us, even myself, it was a time, I'll look at a situation, or I'll be on social media, and I'll see something, and I'll be like, man, you know what? I would love to live like that, or I would love to be in that situation. But then I'm thinking, like, do I want to go through what they went through to go through that process to get there? And many
That part.
times for me, it's no. I don't want to go. I wouldn't want to go through, that rigorous journey just to have what they had, because I understand the back end of that. can be treacherous.
Very much so. Sorry, I had to sneeze and I didn't want to like in the camera. So but that is very true. We don't realize how much is in the background with these celebrities or with these people that we see. You know, let's say for example, you're going through your Facebook and you see this beautiful family of five and they're all pristinely dressed and they're beautiful family photos and it's a fall day and the sky's crisp and it just looks like a fairy tale.
Right.
What they're not showing you is the 700 other pictures it took to get the screaming child to sit, to get this one to smile, this one's not looking, the dad's
You did
complaining because football's on and he didn't even want to be there. You know, you don't
you didn't
see
say
all that in the
700
background.
pictures.
It's
Yeah,
true.
the
It's true.
686 pictures, right?
You know, if I post a selfie and it looks great, you're not seeing the 7 or 8 other ones I took beforehand where I'm like trash, 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 or I'm like making a stupid face, you know, because I wasn't ready or I sneezed or whatever the case may be. You know, people don't see that in the background. It's so easy to forget that this is just a fantasy.
I
And
think we all guilty of it. We all
it turns
guilty
into
of it.
to what turns into doom scrolling. Doom scrolling is where we look for, let's say, news articles and things that are negative because we think that we can change it. We can't change it, you know? And if you're using your form of escapism to doom scroll, you are really negatively affecting your psychological health at that point.
Doom scrolling. That's a
Doom
thing.
scrolling. Yeah. So
That's a
I
big one.
actually yeah, there is actually, and I'm giving a little plug here, a podcast called 2010 Minutes. And he actually just dropped an episode today on doom scrolling. So when you're done here, make sure you head over to 2010 Minutes on YouTube and check out that episode. It was very informational. They're short little snack pack episodes. I love them. So um, at the end of the day, because we're kind of getting to the end here, we don't have too much more to say about it. I'm going to say this message right here. Escapism and constant distraction is a form of denial, people. It is a denial of your own reality. Stop denying your truth. You got to live in it. I say it all the time. Use escapism like white people use seasoning sparingly. Okay?
I like that one. I like that one. You know what? Living your truth.
That's
At
right.
the end of the day, you have to be able to live in your truth and be honest about your own reality. And social media is not a reality.
Okay. But the one thing I do want to add, I almost forgot about actually, is to give some examples of ways where if you realize you are using it as a form of escapism, it's kind of like a cigarette addiction. You cannot just quit cold turkey. It's not going to work. You're going to fail every single time. What you have to do is take positive steps in the right direction to then cut back your time. How can you do that? You can set timers. That's a great way to start.
Exactly.
Set timers. All right, I need a break. I take brain breaks several times a day. It's important to take those brain breaks. But if you know that you're prone to be excessive with it or that you're not going to get back to the task at hand, then you need to start setting those timers. Okay. Because
Exactly.
if you're like me and you have ADHD, that scrolling can turn into hours if you do not set that timer. Um,
I totally agree with that one.
yeah, another one I say, and some people with anxiety may not agree to this, and that's all right. Create a list of what needs to be done. Because if you see that list staring you in the face, it's going to be kind of hard to ignore after a while because the list isn't getting any smaller. Yes, there's a chance it could affect your anxiety, but if you were
Exactly.
getting it done, it wouldn't. So, kind of a hit or miss with that one. But those are like my top two. There's another one, and I'm trying to get my page to load. I put a notepad here and I took the mouse out of my computer to plug my phone in. So now I'm trying to use this touchscreen. It's a nightmare. Do you have any that you want to maybe add?
You know what? You talk about make a list.
Yeah,
Put reminders on your phone. You
that's
use
true.
your phone
My
as a
Google
as,
Calendar is my best friend.
yes, as a way to keep you on track and keep your life balanced. You know what I'm saying? When you're getting them reminders from your calendar, or from your email, or from your notes that you may write, that you might send yourself reminders. It's a great way to keep you on track and keep your life balanced. That way you can stay focused on the goals that you need to achieve throughout the day, and you won't get caught up in the escapism.
That's right. So another one that I like to say too, it's called the real life right now rule. Okay? What is going on in real life right now? By asking yourself that question, you're now no longer focused on what you're seeing in your phone or on the TV or whatever you're using to escape from. You're focused on what is going on right now. What sounds do you hear right now? What smells do you smell right now? Like tie your senses into it. It's kind of like recentering yourself for people who have like PTSD. You know,
Exactly.
three things you could touch, things you could taste, things you could smell, things you can see, just to recenter yourself. You could still do the same thing. You don't have to have PTSD to use the coping mechanisms, people. But also identify, that's like most important. And I know I've said it, I say it again. Identify what you're trying to avoid. You have to. You have
That's
to
the
bring
key.
that foremost. What am I avoiding? Is it the dishes? Is it the laundry that's sitting on the laundry chair? You know, the chair of doom, as I like to call it. Because nobody ever sits in that chair or that bench or whatever you're using to put that pile of laundry on. We all do it. Ain't not a one person watching innocent, okay? We all do it. Doesn't mean it stays there for weeks at a time. Some of us, it's like a day or two. We're just too busy. But
Exactly.
everybody does it. So identify what you're trying to avoid, because by identifying, you're accepting it, and you can't deny it by hanging out in a fantasy world of Facebook or drugs or alcohol or reading or meditation, yoga, the gym, whatever you're using to escape it long term. Um, Beyond that, again, my favorite line here tonight is to use it like white people use seasoning sparingly. Okay. All right.
I love that, CA. I love it.
Yep.
I
So, I mean,
love
with
it.
that being said, I covered everything in my notes. Um, that's really all I had to say about escapism. So, if you have something you want to add,
You know what? I'm gonna go back to just living in your truth,
yeah,
and give yourself an opportunity to have a balance in your life. Set some goals, set some standards for yourself. Um, what I am gonna say is the quicker that you deal with the issues that you need to deal with on a daily basis in the process of you living your life, you know what? The easier your life becomes. It really
that's very
does.
true.
It really does. And what happens is you will avoid escapism without even knowing that you're avoiding it.
That is very true. Very true. So, with that being said, thank you again so much for coming
Thank
on.
you, CA, for having me.
Of course.
Every time we talk, man, you just have me in stitches, man. I love conversating with you. I love your energy, and I most
Thank you.
definitely appreciate you having me this afternoon.
Absolutely, absolutely. And again, for anybody watching, if you put comments in, I didn't put them up because StreamYard is having a problem showing comments. I will end this and jump over there to see if I missed anything. So I just want to let you know if you jumped in late, I can't see your comments. So thanks everybody who is tuning in. Thank you again. He is from the Lions Den podcast, so make sure you go check that out.
Thank
And
you.
I gotta come back to this again. Violence prevention coordinator. I love
Yes,
it. I love
yes,
it.
yes. We're gonna have a whole segment on that soon.
Yeah, I'm definitely about it. But just know I'm
Most
from
definitely.
Philly, so if necessary, these hands buy one get one free. All right,
That's
so
right.
violence can't always be avoided. All right, sometimes
That's
you gotta set the
true.
guidelines. All right, I'm kidding, of course. Well, with that being said, that's our Talking Out Tuesday for today. Everybody have a great week. We'll see you next week for the next one. And
Take
thank
it
you
easy,
again to
everybody.
my lovely co-host today.
Thanks for having me.
Yep,
Appreciate you.
no problem. See ya.
See you guys.